Alright, now that I managed to hide that wife, we'll get back to this boss. Now, normally, on that staircase, there'll be two mobs. Um, you don't kill them exactly. You'll get them to 20%, and they'll hide under the sand, and then you engage this boss. This boss has quite a few abilities, but for the most part, you really only have to worry about the tank damage. As a Prot warrior, it's very important to make sure you get Demo Shout and Thunderclap up. Demo Shout has been changed to reduce physical damage dealt by mobs by 10% rather than reduce their attack power, so its effectiveness is increased significantly. So it's always good to make sure it stays up all the time. He does some fireball ability. I'm not really sure what it does. For the most part, you can ignore it. At 50 to 40%, he will hide under the sand and summon a bunch of ads. Two of the ads that he summons are going to be the two elite mobs that hit under the sand before you pull them. As a tank, it'll be your priority to grab the two elites and then worry about the little ads. You don't want any ads on your healer, so this is a good time to use AoE taunt if you need to, as Prot warrior, as your AoE threat abilities are limited. And then maintain threat on the two elite ones while your group AoEs the little ones down. I believe he does a little sand whirlpool. While he's under the sands, you want to make sure you stay out of that. Once the ads die, he will come back up, and you just burn him like usual, dealing with the firebolt damage that seems very insignificant right now, and dealing with tank damage. He does do a knockback on different people. I believe it does damage, but it's nothing you need to worry about. And once you beat him, you collect loot and head on to the next guy. I'm going to skip ahead a bit here. Basically, you mount up and there's a teleporter in that back room, and it'll send you back to the room with the fork in it. And this time I'll be taking the left. Unfortunately, my in-game sound cut out here because I had some trouble recording, but I will be fixing that for next time. So for now, I will serenade you with my voice some more and maybe add some background music. More typical trash pulls that we've seen before, just flame casters who like to cast firebolts. It's a good time to use spell reflect. They also like to cast meteor, but it doesn't do any special damage. And there are those hunters that like to cast aim shot. It takes forever to cast. It's very, very easy to interrupt or stun. If they're casting it on somebody you think as a tank will take too much damage, if they're not targeting you, it's always a good idea to make sure you interrupt it, because it can do a lot of damage to a clothy or a DPS. But otherwise, the trash is pretty easy, and then you move on to the room with the next boss. See a familiar face here. Spoiler alert, it's Bran Bronzebeard in another instance with another escort, sort of. I guess it's not really an escort this time. But up in this next room, this room will be filled with trash mobs. The trash mobs respawn very quickly. They're in big groups, a bunch of non-elites and two elites. For the most part, these pulls are a joke, but you'll want to skip them because they're just annoying to constantly have to pull as they respawn. Only pull the ones that you need to. You should be able to one-shot all of the non-elite trogs if you thunderclap and then shockwave, because of course with the new talents, thunderclap increases the damage of your next shockwave by 10%. I believe it's 10%. The more you use it, the more it stacks up to 3 times, so thunderclap 3 times and shockwave for maximum shockwave damage. In this room, you have to kill 4 mini bosses to unlock the boss of this room. There's an elemental of each type. This water guy, he's gonna drop pools of water all around you. Just stay out of them. They're a lot easier to see than fire, which is very hard to stay out of. He's also going to put people in a bubble randomly. It does 7,000 damage a second, which is quite a bit, and it also stops them from moving. I've noticed that the human racial works on getting out of this, so if I ever have a bubble on me, if you noticed a few seconds ago, I just trinketed out of it and didn't have to break the bubble, but if it's on anybody who can't do that, you make sure to get them out really quick. And then you move on to the next guy. I find that this room is a bit tedious, but this instance is long, and to be honest, this is the only room that really takes time. The rest of the instance, you pretty much go from boss to boss with very little trash pulls, so I think it's worth it. I don't know if putting 7 bosses in one instance was a good idea, but that's how many are in this place. More trogs, making sure to stick around the side, not to aggro too many, and then the next boss, mini-boss rather, we're fighting is the Wind Elemental guy. This guy doesn't really do anything too dangerous. He throws out a tornado. You want to make sure you stay out of it, particularly if you're a healer, because there's not a lot of healers who can cast heals while they're flying in the air. Unless you're a Resto Druid. But Resto Druids are OP, so let's not talk about Resto Druids. It's pretty simple though. Just as a tank, make sure you're keeping Demo up and Thunderclap up. As you notice, all these mobs and bosses tend to hit for about 20k each-ish. This boss particularly looks like he's hitting for 18k. With 100k hit points, it's about 6 hits. The Demo Shout, 10%, definitely makes a huge difference the higher the numbers get. When I first started doing these instances, before building Threat even, I had to get Demo Shut up, just in fear of dying. Generally right now, the rotation when you pull a group would be Rend, Thunderclap, then Shockwave to get Rend up, and then spread Rend with Thunderclap and get the Thunderclap buff for Shockwave, and then Shockwave. However, I've been skipping the Rend for the most part, because the damage and the threat you get from it seems just like it's a waste of a GCD on the pull. I'll throw it up afterwards, but not right away. Skipping ahead here a bit, straight to the fire guy. This guy doesn't do much. He does a Hellfire thing. It stacks a debuff on you. Just you can run out of it. I'm sure it'll be an issue in heroic, but on normal mode, a lot of the DPS just sit in it. I'm a good tank, so I'll run out, but DPS are like, fuck it, gotta pad the meters. Screw this guy. Healer can heal me. Not my problem. just joking. I'm pretty sure that's not what they're thinking at all. And then that guy down, there's only one left. I'm getting a little impatient, so I just ran through the middle. And showed off how awesome Shockwave is right now. But yeah, as I was saying with the Rend and the Thunderclap, it doesn't give additional threat, so I don't really see a reason to spread the Rend. I don't believe it gives additional threat. It doesn't do enough damage to make it worth the GCD, at least not on the pull. It's good for threat after you've established better threat, but I think you're still better off just tab sundering, tab shield slamming, revenging as a prot warrior to maintain threat over using Rend, because that's not going to be enough. I mean, 500 damage ticks every 3 seconds with your Thunderclap, that's not going to out-threat anything, any sort of real AoE. You're still better off just relying on Shockwave. I'm even questioning if it's worth even getting that Rend talent. But on this Earth guy, he likes to impale the tank and make him take a bunch of damage, as you saw right there. There's a big rock stuck in my head. And he does this Shockwave thing where he shoots spikes of earth out in one direction. I don't know if there's a way to tell which direction he's going to shoot it before he does it, but if you can, just make sure you move out of the way. Let's see, does he face the direction? Yeah, he does. So just get out of his front when he's casting it. And then we get on to the big Mamma Jamma boss of this room, the one that you just spent all that time clearing to. Lucky for you, you don't need to worry about these trogs anymore. Once he gets to the bottom of these stairs, he'll kill them all for you, so you can just hop over right to him and see what's up. He's pretty tall. And you can look up his skirt if you want to. It doesn't really look like he's packing anything under there, though. Poor guy, no wonder he's all angry. When he was created as a giant, they didn't put anything under that skirt, so he doesn't know if he's a girl or a guy. He's confused. So we're gonna have to kill him, put him in his place, end his confusion. We're actually being nice to him, putting him out of his misery. But this guy isn't gonna seem like he's gonna do a lot of damage to me, because our lovely DK spawned a bunch of ghouls to taunt him, but he's got a couple abilities I'm sure will be more of an issue once you get onto heroic. He'll do alpha beams. Once he starts casting it, you don't have to worry about healing the tank because he's no longer melee. He'll shoot a purple beam in a direction, and it'll create a void zone in that area. Just move out of it, and you won't have to worry about the damage it deals. The other ability he does is ground slam. It stacks a debuff on everybody in your group that reduces the amount of hit points you have. It works as a soft enrage in the sense. You want to make sure that you kill him before it stacks too much. It's fairly easy to kill him on normal mode without it stacking too high, but once you get into heroic, I'm sure it might be an issue. And then there's that Omega Stance ability you just saw, where he just AoEs the entire group for 5,000 damage a second. There's no way to avoid the damage. You just have to heal through it. Luckily, he's not doing tank damage again during this time, so the healer just stops healing the tank and focuses on healing the raid. And that's it for this part. I'll continue on to part 3 for the last 4 bosses.